The modern BMW M3 is serious. It's a weapon. This is a partner. This is the 2026 M340i 50-year edition. 400 horsepower is the solution looking for a problem on public roads, but this has 386 sent through all four wheels on winter tires. That's a solution to the problem of January. This costs $12,000 less than an M3. And on these winter tires, it's a great reminder that you don't need a full M badge to have fun. What's it like? Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a drive. I'm Brian Makse, and this is the M340i Jahre Edition. It celebrates 50 years of the 3 Series with special paint, carbon bits, and exclusive badging, but we're not here for the stickers. We're here because the B58 just got a bump to 386 horsepower, and I want to know if this is the sweet spot in the BMW lineup. This car celebrates 50 years of the 3 Series. BMW usually celebrates by just charging you more. But here, the math actually works. You couldn't build this spec cheaper yourself. 50 years of the 3 Series has been 50 years of BMW promising the ultimate driving machine and occasionally delivering. This is one of those occasions. BMW built 100 of these for Canada and a limited run for the US. It's an instant collector's item that you should absolutely ruin by driving every day. Before we do some serious driving, does it fit? Thankfully, these seats are fantastic. Thigh support is manually adjustable, bolsters are power adjustable, and these seats actually hold you in without the punishment of the carbon buckets in the M3. You sit low in the chassis. There's lots of adjustment in this steering wheel, especially. It telescopes a tremendous amount, so your arms are just right. The pedal placement is absolutely perfect, and there's a dead pedal to support your left leg when the cornering gets interesting. Thankfully, BMW sets up their driver interfaces for people who actually drive, which sounds kind of obvious, but isn't so obvious anymore in 2026. The curved display is fantastic. It's very clear, very legible. It's visible in all kinds of lighting conditions, which is awesome. But this interface itself gives me some trouble from time to time. Well, this is a great example. If I want to hit the heated seat function, well, it forces me to take my eyes off the road, and I'm not a big fan of that. This merino leather interior is usually reserved for M cars only in North America. It's the difference between nice car and whose car is this, and your passengers will notice way before you even have to tell them. Visibility is excellent. Tall glass all around so you can see where you're going even when you're drifting, and if you're familiar with drifting, sometimes you actually have to look out the side glass to point the car where you want to go. And unlike half the cars in the segment, there's actually glass there instead of a door panel that comes up all the way to your chin. Carbon fiber is standard on this M340i. It's not the fake printed stuff, and that matters to about 6 people, but come on, it's the principle of the thing. I've had some adults in the back seat during my test, and rear legroom's adequate, and that's as far as you get. I think it's BMW's way of saying if you really want more legroom, you need to buy a 5 Series. The iDrive system has a little too much complexity to it. Thankfully, it has wireless CarPlay. It does have Android Auto. I use it exclusively on CarPlay, and it might be BMW's way of admitting their iDrive system isn't quite good enough to force people to give up their phones. The climate control system in here has 3 different zones, which is great on its own. It's actually been very useful. It's also useful for passive-aggressive temperature battles with your wife because nothing says romance like independent HVAC settings. Subscribers get notified of new episodes on this channel. Non-subscribers hope the algorithm will show it to them eventually. If you want to control when you see episodes from this channel on YouTube, well, that's what the subscribe button's for. BMW says this will do 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. Realistically, it's more like 3.8. Sounds like BMW's engineers are more conservative than their lawyers, which might be the right way around. The B58 is the gold standard. They say it makes 386 horsepower, 369 pounds of torque, but we all know those numbers are a lie. This feels more like 400 horsepower at the wheels, and maybe this is BMW's way of protecting the M3's ego. What really matters is peak torque arrives at about 1800 RPM, stays there till about 4900 RPM, which means you've got this massive broad torque curve where this B58 pulls cleanly from anywhere in the rev range. If you want to pass a car, you don't need to downshift 2 or 3 or even 4 gears. You just lean into the throttle, turbo spools up, and this thing accelerates. And I think this engine has won pretty much every industry award that matters. But you don't buy it for the trophies. You buy it because it makes the Toyota Supra feel fast and a 5,000-pound SUV feel light. In this sedan, it's perfect. Under acceleration, the 48-volt system adds 11 horsepower, but you'll never feel those 11 horses specifically. What you feel is that this engine responds like the turbo doesn't even exist. Now, we do have to talk about the sound a little bit. It is synthesized, and BMW does a good job at that. When you start it up, it does start with a little bit of authority. Sounds great. And then in Sport Plus, it does give you a whole bunch of attitude. Not full M-car attitude, but more attitude than a regular 3 Series probably deserves. The 8-speed automatic, it's telepathic. You pull one of the paddles, it shifts instantaneously. There's no hesitation, no lag between your command and the shift. Of course, in Sport or Sport Plus drive modes, it'll hold gears a little bit longer, but it doesn't even matter which mode you're in. It holds gears appropriately for the type of driving that you're doing. So if you're enjoying some fantastic roads, well, it's going to hold those gears a little bit more. You may want to go manual, you may want to go Sport Plus, but it does all the right things all the time. It's better than a lot of dual clutches on the market, and it's been around since 2008, and BMW still hasn't found a reason to replace it. Neither has anyone else. Some engineering just works. This might be the only automatic on the market that makes me miss a manual less. The all-wheel drive system is rear biased, but watch this. The front axle actually pulls you straight, but only after the rear has rotated, and basically it makes anyone look like a hero. The best part is this xDrive all-wheel drive system seems like it was tuned for driving dynamics first rather than prioritizing outright traction. And in this sedan, that's the right choice, because in this weather, you can drive a lot harder with a lot more confidence. The downside is that you can't fully disable it, so if you're looking for that pure rear-wheel drive experience, you're looking at the wrong car. The like button tells YouTube to share this video with other people like you who are interested in seeing it, and if this episode has given you more insight than a brochure or a press release, well, that's the entire ask. We are in winter, obviously. This car's in winter mode, and BMW Canada's fitted it with some 18-inch winter tires, 225 square. What that means is that there's less outright grip, but a little bit more communication. Run flat tires exist because BMW didn't want to fit a spare to this car. Winter tires exist because physics is non-negotiable, and one of those is a better way for you to spend your money. I've got a love-hate relationship with modern BMW steering. Here on center, it's a little bit numb, and to make up for that, there's great communication in the chassis, but the steering is just modern BMW, and there's no getting away from it. But here's the thing, on these winter tires, because they've got a little bit more compliance, you can actually feel what's going on, and you get a lot more chassis feel than the run flats, which typically will mask what's going on at the contact patch. The best thing is these winters tell you exactly where the limit is, which today might mean a little bit sideways. You know, you get into an M3 and it rides a lot stiffer, and with the kind of road imperfections that we have in this part of the world, crashes over bumps, and it's definitely on the firm side. This M340i, however, just soaks up the bumps. I think the combination of these adaptive dampers and these 18-inch winter tires are true luxury. This has a Sport Plus mode that firms everything up. There's also a comfort mode that is genuinely comfortable, and that's one thing the M3 does not offer. Now, the brakes that are on this M340i that are part of the M technology package are very interesting, and I really, really like them. For me, it's the single biggest difference between a regular M340i and this 50-year edition. They give you immediate pedal bite. There's no soft initial travel, no vague first inch of pedal where you're compressing fluid and waiting for something to happen at the brakes. You step on the pedal and you get great bite, and that's great, but as you get into the pedal, you're rewarded with progressive linear feel all the way through pedal travel. And for somebody like me who's a bit of a brake pedal feel fetishist, that changes how you can drive this car. You can brake this car deep into corners and control the attitude on corner entry with that brake pedal because it tells you exactly what's going on at the front contact patches. And you can modulate pedal pressure smoothly with precision because the whole braking system has this fine level of resolution that you don't get in many braking systems. And you can brake this very late and very deep into corners, which is fun until you remember you're on public roads and there are laws and there are lawyers. What really makes this car for me is the cohesiveness of it all. The upgraded power, the upgraded brakes, the adaptive suspension, maybe a little bit of the attitude from the exhaust, the all-wheel drive system. It all comes together to make this car really special in a way that rewards drivers. And I think that's intentional because everything communicates. Maybe not the steering so much, but certainly the chassis feedback does. And this comes together in a way no other 3 Series has for me. And no, it's not the raw mechanical feedback you'd get in something like an E46, but it is a proper interpretation of what a modern sports sedan should be. And that's because BMW took all the parts that either cost extra or aren't available together, put them in this M340i and tuned them perfectly. And that might make it frustrating for some Bimmer diehards because BMW knows how to do this. They can put it all together, but in this case, they just made it limited and exclusive. Chassis balance might be one of the reasons why the 3 Series has survived 50 years. Front engine, a rear-biased all-wheel drive system, and just enough body roll to let you know what's going on. This isn't a numbers car, it's a feelings car. This M340i exists in that gap between the M340i and where the M3 became a little too serious. The M3 demands your attention every second. This M340i lets you relax, but then it'll still rotate when you ask it to. If you want to support this channel beyond just watching, well, the merch store is open. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us. What that means is the time for us to produce more fun episodes like this and less time worrying about manufacturer blacklists. No pressure, just an option. This comes standard with 19-inch run flats. They're stiff and loud. Do exactly what BMW Canada did here. Put it on some 18s for the winter. It rides better and it saves your wheels. This B58 is the undisputed hero here. Owners with 65,000 to 75,000 miles report minimal issues beyond oil changes, and real-world 0 to 60 times consistently hit sub 4 seconds. Highway fuel economy also beats EPA estimates, with owners reporting 33 to 41 miles per gallon on road trips. The catch is city driving. Short trips with a cold engine will drop you to 17 to 22 miles per gallon. The steering is a consistent complaint among owners. Those coming from E90s or older BMWs describe it as numb with virtually no on-center feel. It's competent, it's accurate, but it doesn't talk to you like the old cars do. The forums have running threads on suspension squeaks coming from the front end. BMW's official position seems to be that it's within specification. Owner translation, they know, they might not care, but you should buy some lithium grease. And I found this interesting. Long-term owners report that the iDrive system gets slower over time. Your dealer can fix this with an update, but then you lose all of your presets. That's the circle of life, I guess. But here's what owners wish they knew before they bought their M340i, and that's the run flat tires are punishing. The consensus is to budget about $1,500 for a set of Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires immediately after purchase, which is kind of what I've been saying on this channel for years. If you own one of these or have some quality seat time in one of these, let me know in the comments what I got right and what I got wrong, because owner intel is much more interesting and much more valuable than anything I can learn in a week-long press loan, and I always read those comments. If you're cross-shopping this against the M3, let's be honest, if you don't have a track membership, the M3 is a bit like vanity. This is what the M3 used to be: fast, compliant, and very usable. If you want a dedicated track toy, buy the M3, but the M3 wants you to know it's an M3. Flared fenders, aggressive diffuser, and a face that says, I have opinions about where the apex is. This just looks like a nicely equipped 3 Series, which is exactly the point. For the commute, the winter run, and the weekend blast, this M340i is the better car. But here's the weird part. BMW's marketing focuses almost entirely on the heritage angle. The special colors from previous 3 Series generations, the exclusive merino leather, the limited production run of a few hundred units for the US. All true? All fine. But here's what they're not really advertising with this car. They took all the possible performance upgrades that are available for this M340i that really should be standard. This should be available as a coherent package for any M340i, but in this case, they locked it behind a limited edition that most people will never see at their BMW dealer. This is the 3 Series at its peak. It's the ultimate edition of the ultimate daily driver. It's definitely not the fastest 3 Series, but it's certainly the one you want to live with. BMW built just 100 of these for Canada. That's not a production run, that's a rounding error. And somehow one of them ended up covered in snow with me behind the wheel. That's the 2026 BMW M340i Jahre Edition. Subscribe if you enjoyed this. Don't if you don't. Comments are open if you disagree. And the merch store is open if you want to support the channel. See you on the next one.